So welcome to CN535's lab class. Today is Friday, the 30th of July. And yeah, so I hope all of you are doing well so far and you're keeping up with what we had gone through. Now, yesterday we had our lecture class. Let me just quickly share my screen. Okay, so yesterday we had our lecture class. So the recording of that particular class basically resides in week 1 section of the Moodle shell, and here it is. Now, just to let you know, basically this recording has been uploaded on a dummy Moodle channel. Sorry, not Moodle, but YouTube channel. What it simply means is basically I have recorded the video that that took place in yesterday's lecture class, and it has been uploaded on a YouTube channel. So if you would go and place a click on it, you'll have a YouTube link somewhere here at the bottom. So if you want to really be connected up to the channel, what you can do is you can subscribe to the channel and there's a bell icon. You can click on it. So whenever I would be uploading any new videos, you will be able to gain access to it. Now, just a reminder, basically the videos that go onto that particular YouTube channel, there would be 3 playlists. So I'm taking 3 courses this semester. So we have a playlist for CIN 535. We have a playlist for CIN 603 and 708. So please ensure that you are referring to CIN 535 playlists. So yes, that is what you'll be referring to. Apart from that, if you would have a look at your Moodle shell, your timetable still remains the same. So it's on Thursday, 2 to 4 p.m. That's your lecture class. And Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. That is your lab discussion and consultation class. Now, before we continue with the lab, or more likely commence with the lab, is there any questions or any queries from anyone? Any questions in regards to the lecture notes or the lecture quiz? Any questions in regards to your Moodle shell? Okay. Feel free to speak up if you have any questions. So those of you who've joined us, thank you for joining in. There are 9 of us all together. Thank you, Zal, for your feedback. Okay, so if all is well, so what we'll do is we'll straight away go into our lab. Just before we go there, can I just quickly have a look? Okay, your gradebook is still down for some reason. I will note it down very quickly and try to get it fixed by end of the day. Okay, so your gradebook. Okay. How many of you have already attempted the lecture-based quiz? So 2 of you have attempted it so far. So thank you for your time and effort to do so. Those of you who haven't done it, please ensure to take time out and get your week 1 lecture-based quiz attempted. With our lab class, like I mentioned yesterday, we will be going and having a look at alternative to Photoshop software, and the alternative that we have is photopea.com. So let me go and stop my video so that the transition rate of the videos and our Zoom class will be much more better. Okay, so the website is called www.photopea.com. Okay, now if you have ever had a look at Photoshop, okay, so this is the exact layout that you have in Adobe Photoshop. Now, Adobe Photoshop, it is part of a groupware software called Adobe Master Collection. So if you have a look at Adobe Master Collection's Photoshop, it's the very same layout, same functions, and the same structure as well. So nothing different. Now, this particular website was generally built for people who are on the go. That means they are generally traveling from one location to the other. There's also another alternative that you can use instead of www.photopea.com is Adobe's website, whereby you can actually use the cloud-based. Cloud-based is more like the online-based versions of Photoshop. However, there's a 30 days trial to it, and after that you'll be requested to pay a certain amount, which is generally quite expensive. So currently the university is working on a structure or a framework whereby they would try to get Adobe's cloud versions to all the students, but it's going to take some time. So meanwhile, we have a free version, so why not make the most of it? Now, what I would request you to do is, now, yesterday I asked, I think so, I did ask everyone in terms of how many of you do not have access to a computer or a laptop. And generally, I got a feedback whereby all of you have access to a computer or a laptop. So what I would suggest for you to do is, okay, now I will be doing the basic, I will be describing it. I will be doing the basic explanations. After that, when I am generally giving examples, I will show it to you, and then I'll expect you to do it as well. So once you actually do it, only then you will learn. Otherwise, it will become very difficult to catch up later onwards. Is that fine with everyone? Or anyone has issues? Anyone has any issues doing that? No one? Okay. Now, anyone here is using Zoom using a smartphone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there's one. I guess that's for you. Was it you?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. So you are using your mobile phone. Okay, anyone else?
So me,
Okay, but do you, Arishna? Okay. However, do you have access to a computer or a laptop?
Yes,
Yes.
sir. I'm.
Yes. Okay. For you, I'll let you speak first. Okay, but you have access to a computer, right?
Yes, sir. I just
Okay.
opened the website, Photopea.
Okay. Said Arishna. What about you?
So opening the website.
Okay. So all of you okay?
Yeah.
All right. Just in case, if you're using Zoom simultaneously with me showing you this website, what you can do is I'll give you time. What I'll do is I'll explain, and then I'll give you a few seconds afterward to actually go and have a look at those features. Is that fine? Yep. Okay. Is that fine? This is what I'll ask you to do first. Close this. Please refer to your Moodle shell, and can you go and refer to week 1 section of the Moodle shell? Now we call these as a Moodle shell. It's not a Moodle page, it's called a Moodle shell. Now within Moodle shells, you have various sections. So our section here is getting started, my assessments week 1. So can you refer to week 1 section of the Moodle shell? Scroll down, and then underneath the lab topic, you have some lab files. So can you go and download this lab files, lab exercise 1 and lab exercise 2. I will give you approximately 5 minutes to download this, and then on your desktop, create a folder for CN 535 and put all these downloads inside that folder. 5 minutes should be enough. Okay, let's go everyone. Download, create a folder on your desktop, rename the folder to CN 535, and then place all these downloaded folders inside that particular folder. Please ensure that you unzip the folders as well. You have 5 minutes with you. Okay, I think someone just joined in. We are on CN 535 Moodle Shell, week 1 section of the Moodle Shell. Okay, and from there we are downloading these files, lab files, lab exercise 1, lab exercise 2. Please download these files and then create a folder on your desktop, rename the folder to CN 535. Place all these downloaded folders inside CN 535 folder and unzip them. You have 3 more minutes. Two more minutes to go. Now, those of you who have already downloaded and you're waiting up for me to continue, please bear with us. Some students will be quite slower than the others, some will be very fast. And also, since it's in an online mode, I'm not able to actually see how many of you have downloaded what and how fast you have downloaded. So we'll have to bear up with everyone. Okay, so just in case if you are very, very fast, please bear with us. Okay, 1 more minute, and then we will go and start using this particular website. Okay, shall we continue? Now we are on www.photopea.com. Okay, now from the files that you have downloaded, I would ask you to open up a file, and the name of the file is open_save. Now this is just a method I'm going to teach you in which you can go and open up images. Now it's very much familiar with what you have with Microsoft Word or what you have with Microsoft PowerPoint or even Microsoft Excel. Very much familiar, very much similar. Why? Because it's a proper standard. Now, if you're using, just in case, if you're using a Apple-based computer, a Mac, the standard is quite different from what you have is Windows. However, with this kind of softwares, whereby generally this software can be used in either of the operating systems, generally the standard is quite similar. So you know that underneath file, you might have something as new, open, save, and so forth. Okay. Now, just before we actually proceed with it, let me explain few things. Now, with Adobe Photoshop, or same as Photopea here, now these are very dynamic softwares. Why dynamic? They can be used for a lot of different purposes. Now, just focusing on the realistic point of view, generally you would see posters on probably a wall. You would see posters on a notice board. You will see advertisements. You will see pamphlets. You will see school magazines, very much common during school times, school magazines. You would see photos up on the web. Now, most of it is created in Adobe Photoshop or something like Photopea, a software like Photopea. Now, these are called authoring tools. Remember authoring tools from yesterday's lecture? Anything that allows you to develop a multimedia. So with Photoshop, what you could do is very easily you can create posters, very easily you can create brochures, very easily you can do a lot of different things at a different point in time. But the main thing here is you need to know which tools to use, where to use it, and how to use it. Now, what from this course, I'm not expecting you to create a school magazine. I'm not expecting you to create a first-class banner. But what I am expecting is basically for you to learn the tools so that when somebody tells you, hey, would you be able to make a poster for me? It should be something like this, and that. You should say, and it should start ringing bells in your head, thinking, okay, I will do this, I will do that. This is the tools that I'm going to use. I'll have layers like this and that, and I should be able to do that. Or you can say, okay, I'll give it a try and I'll do it. So you should be confident enough to say that even. So that is the major focus of using this particular software and for this particular course is that you are able to do things. You're able to learn new things. Okay. And with CN 535, it's more of a practical approach rather than a theoretical approach. So whatever things we are learning in theory in our lecture classes, we'll actually try to put them into practice. So first of all, I've got 3 lessons for today's lab. So in lesson 1, we will go and actually have an overview of photopea.com, or we can say Photoshop, since very much similar. All the features are very much similar. Okay, so we'll go and have a look at it. So first of all, what I'll ask you to do is go and open up the image. Okay, open_save. Now what you can do is you can click onto the file menu, and from there click on open and try to locate where your file is. I think yours should be on desktop, CN 535 folder. And open up open_save.jpg file. And you should be able to do this. All good? Now, once you actually have opened this up with Photoshop or Photopea, what you can do is you can have the files saved in 2 formats. Now, when I say formats, generally, I'm not meaning in terms of JPEG, PNG, or GIF format. I'm talking about editing formats. Generally, when you save it, like I mentioned, there are 2 formats. First one is you have an editing format, and the other one is you have a non-editing format. Editing format is whereby you try to save the file in a .psd file extension. When I say .psd, that means it's a Photoshop document, PSD. With a .psd format, you can always open the file and edit several features where you had left off the very last time. For example, you have inserted 10 or 15 texts and you have saved it. Then you realize, okay, I don't want the text to be like this. I want it to be on the top right instead of the top left. So with that, what you can do is you can open up the PSD file and do so. However, if you save the file in a specific image format, what will happen is you won't be able to edit it. You'll have to go around working with the original file or from the very beginning. So that makes your work a bit harder. So in the very first lesson, what we'll do is we'll learn how to save files into two different formats. That's quite different from what you have in Microsoft Word. Okay, so I need you to pay a good attention. All right, so first of all, I will go and click on the file. Now, while I am actually speaking at the moment, what you can do is if you have a pen or paper next to you, you can write down the steps. So just in case in future, now these are some of the common questions that could be asked in quizzes even, or even mid-semester exams. Okay, so in future, if you would want to go and refer to it, you have something written in front of you. And in fact, researchers say that if you want to learn fast, it's good to write and then try to learn. Okay, so I'll go into File, and from File, you'll see you have Save as PSD. So that's very simple and straightforward. So what I'll do is I'll click on Save As, and it gives me an option. Okay, so I want to save it somewhere. So I will save it into the very same folder where I had extracted it from. So semester 2, 535. And this is lesson 1. And what I'll do is I will have open underscore save underscore PSD. Okay, and if you'll also notice that the format is PSD file. Now, you know this Faststone, this is basically the image viewer that I have. Just ignore that, it's a PSD file, and click on save. So when I actually go onto the saved portion, you'll see it's saving in a form of a PSD file. On the other hand, if I try to save this image in form of a non-editing file, let's say you are very sure this is the very final version and you want to stick to it, so you'll go and save it in either PNG, portable network graphic, or a JPEG format. So I go to File, and you don't have a save as into JPEG, something like that. So therefore you use export as. So you'll select the command export as, and you have 2 or 3 options. Okay, now you need to be very careful in terms of what format you're using. So for PNG is a portable network graphic. So if you're using something on the web, so it's preferred that you use a PNG format. If you're using something, for example, if you want to print it out, it's good to use JPEG. And if you want to have an image whereby it's sort of floating or it's moving on the screen, so it's .gif format. So I'll use .png at the moment. Okay, so .png, and don't worry about this, we'll stick to the current size. Probably in the later labs, then I'll tell you how to modify the quality of it. At the moment, we'll stick to the basics, and we'll hit the save button, and it'll ask me where to save. Okay, so it's going to the same folder as I had selected previously. So open underscore save underscore PNG, and you'll notice that the file format is PNG as well. Now it's not PNG because I'm typing underscore PNG. It's PNG because even if I remove it, I'll still have the same format. Okay, it's PNG because I have chosen the command previously, and then I'll hit the save button. So when I go to that folder, okay, so that is PNG format, this is PSD format, and you will be able to see the difference. Now I'll give you 2 minutes. Let's say I'll give it about 2 to 3 minutes. You give it a go. Now, while you're saving it, let me just give you some commentary at the background. It's best always ensure when you are working in a graphics file to save your file in both the formats, in .psd and also in a graphic format as well. Reason why is because just in case if you intend to change your mind, you have both versions with you. Okay, so please ensure always have it saved in PSD and also in a graphic format. All right, anyone still need some more time? If you need time, just call out, otherwise I'll start continuing. Last call, anyone needs some more time? No, this was very simple. Okay, so let's go and get familiar with the work area. Now, with the work area, what I mean by the work area is basically what all things you have in your Photoshop interface. It's very important for you to know all these things. For example, when you are working with Microsoft Word, you should know what a menu is. You should know what a dialog box launcher is. You should know what are groups in Microsoft Word, okay, or all those things. So likewise in Photoshop, you should know what are the common things. Now, why you should know it? Because if somebody will actually use a technical words so that you won't be lost. And moreover, over time, when we are working on this, I will be calling out using the technical names since we are doing computer science and this is a computer science based software. So it will be good for us to actually know these things. So with the work area, first of all, we'll have a look at the menu bar. So the menu bar are these buttons on top. Okay, actually they are not buttons, they are commands. So you have file, edit, image, layer, select, filter, view, window, more, account, and even the search button, this focus button or the full screen button. Okay, now all these are part of the menu bar. So whatever you see on top from here till the very end, that is your menu bar. Now underneath your menu bar, you have options bar. Now, this may change based on what tool you're selecting. For example, if I use a form for selection tool, you'll notice that this changes. If I would choose a picker tool, something like that here, picker tool, where is this? Okay, here. So you'll see that also changes. If I would select a color from here, okay, you'll see these changes. So therefore, it's called an option bar. OPTION, option bar, whereby when you are selecting a tool, it gives you certain options. Recapping, so far we have looked at the menu bar and the option bar. After that, we'll go and have a look at the tools bar. Now, generally in Photoshop, you are not able to perform tasks without the use of a tool. And your tools reside on the left-hand side of your screen. So these are all the different tools. From the very beginning, you have a move tool. You have a selection tool. Selection tool has different more options to it. Now, if you look at the tools very, very carefully, there's many of them. Now, if you would have a look at the very first one, right at the very bottom right, there's a tiny arrow. So the arrow indicates there are more selections to that tool. So if you will click and hold, it will give you more options. If you would, let's say, fifth button from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this is a crop tool. If you would press and hold, it gives you more options. Okay. So generally, I don't think there's one tool. This is a clone stamp tool here. This does not have an option. Okay. Apart from that, rest of the buttons or rest of the tools, they have proper options with it. So far, we have looked at the menu bar. underneath the menu bar, you have the option bar. Now the option bar is only available with the use of a specific tool. Tools are found in the tools panel or tools bar, either of it. Now, after this, we'll go and have a look at our panel. Now, panels are normally found on the right-hand side. This is a panel. Now, with the panel, what happens is generally your panel gives you a set of record of what things you have done in history, and then how you go around controlling things with the use of layers. So this is where panels come in. Let me recap. You have your menu bar, option bar, tools panel, and then you have your panel. So far, so good. Any questions, anyone? No questions? Okay. Now we have one more element with your work area, and that is your document window. Sorry, come again? We have one more place or spot in your work area that we need to identify, and it is called as a document window. A document window is basically the area that you're working on, which is this version. So the name of my document window over here is open_save.psd. That is my document window. If I would come up with a new one, for example, file and then new and create, so I have another document window. If I want to close off, I can close my document window. So in general, there are 5 things that you should be very much familiar with your work area in Adobe Photoshop. You have your menu bar, and this is the options bar, and then you have the tool panel, you have the panel, and then you have your document window. Any questions, anyone, before we move on to the next subtopic? No questions? Let's move on. Okay. I hope you're noting things down, because the next in the next set of things that I'll be explaining, you will definitely need to note this down. When you're working with Photoshop, what happens is you have a lot of elements in a picture. For example, if I would ask you to go and change the color of this sun, at the moment I think it looks like a sun or like a circle, but it is demonstrating a sun. If I would ask you to go and change the color to yellow, now you can't change this unless and until you make the entire image bigger. So that's where we have a feature in Photoshop which is called as zoom and pen. Zoom, Z-O-M-M, pen, P-A-N. Now zoom, you know what zoom is. Zoom in, zoom out, make it bigger, make it smaller. Pen is whereby you try to move the image to the sides, either left or to the right. Now the way we do this here in Adobe Photoshop or also in Photopea. Now when I say Adobe Photoshop, Photopea, they mean the same thing, because it is after all giving you a direct imitation of Photoshop. So in Photoshop, you can do this by using the manual methods, but I would ask you to learn it using shortcut methods. Over time, you'll become more proficient with it. To actually zoom in, what we'll do is, first of all, we'll select the image. That means you'll place a click over it and press and hold Control and then plus. Let me repeat that. You'll place a click, press and hold Control, and then press plus button from your keyboard, and you should be able to zoom in. Now you will see the sun gets bigger. It will be easy for you to edit. And if you want to make it smaller, press and hold the Control button, and you'll press minus from the keyboard. So that makes it smaller. Let me do it again. Okay, so you have Control plus minus, that's zoom out, and Control and plus gives you a zoom in feature. Now you can zoom it to a method, or you can zoom it to the place where you can actually go and see the pixels. Okay, and there will come a time when it will gradually stop zooming in. So that's how you do it. Sometimes you'll have a lot of elements in a particular image, and you might need to zoom in, refer to individual pixels, and edit them. So that's where zoom in and zoom out becomes very handy. So let me repeat that once more. For zoom in, the shortcut key is Control and plus button. So you have to press and hold your control button on the keyboard and then plus. To zoom out is Control and minus. Next thing that we have within this subtopic is pan. How do you pan your image? Panning your image becomes very handy when you have, let's say you have zoomed in. Now what you want to move to the side. So how do you move? You have a drag and drop feature whereby you can pan to the left or to the right. Or another simple way of doing it is press and hold your control button and scroll your mouse roller up, move to the left hand side, and you can move down to scroll to the right hand side. So this is pan left and this is pan right. So if I would zoom in, Control and plus, and if I want to go towards the left hand side, so what you'll see is I've pressed my control button and I'm rolling my mouse roller to the top portion, rolling forward. So you'll see my image is moving to the left. If I press and hold control and roll my mouse roller to the bottom section, okay, you'll see is what you'll see is your image panning towards the right. Let me zoom in. Sorry, zoom out is actually small. Now I am panning it. Now give it a go, everyone. Try zooming in, try zooming out, and pen left and pen right. And let me know if you have any questions. You have a minute for that. Now, while you're doing that, some general information. The shortcut keys generally are some targeted questions in your mid-semester exams or quizzes, even your short tests as well. Generally, these things are asked, so please ensure that you know them. The only way you could know them is you would write them down or you would practice them more frequently. I would suggest both. Write it down and then practice them. Okay, moving on. The next thing that we'll be looking at is the undo or redo command. And these are common things that you've also done in Microsoft Word. And you're thinking, why is he teaching us all these things now? We've already learned this in Microsoft Word. Sure you have. However, the functions are a bit different in Adobe Photoshop. Have a look at this. Now, what I've done is I have moved my image. How do I move? I will take my cursor on top of any spot on the image and then drag it to the left. So my image is quite away from, now this is what you call as a canvas. What you see in the background, those checked marks, so those are called canvas. Okay, so I have moved my image away from the canvas. Now, if I want to actually take it back without clicking and dragging, that's simple. I can press Control and Z. So the shortcut key for undo is Control and Z. I'm guessing that's the very same shortcut key that you have in Microsoft Word. So please do note it down somewhere, just in case if you're not sure of the shortcut key. It's Control Z to undo. So it takes my image right back to where it was In other words, it takes me a step backward. Now, have a look at this. This is what it was, okay? So when I press Control Z, it takes me a step backward. Now, just in case, let's say you have undone it, and then now you realize, no, how it was previously, I want to have it like that. That means you want to go a step forward. So if you want to go a step forward, or in other words, if you want to redo something, you have to apply a shortcut key, and the shortcut key in Microsoft Word is Control and Y in Microsoft Word. Over here, no way. Okay, over here it's not the same. So to apply a redo or step forward, the shortcut key is Shift plus Control plus Z. So a combination key of press and hold Shift, press and hold Control, and then press Z. So Shift plus Control plus Z, it takes me to a step forward, and Control Z to undo, to redo, Shift plus Control plus Z. Do try it out. Undo and redo. So just in case, let's say this shortcut key doesn't, it's not, let's say if it's not your game, or you do not like using shortcut keys, you can always use the menu bar. So from your edit menu bar, okay, you have step backward and step forward. Edit, step backward, that is undo, and step forward, that is redo. However, I would prefer you to use the shortcut key. It becomes very easy. It saves a lot of time earlier on, especially if you find a job later onwards in a graphic scenario or in a graphic field. So knowing shortcut keys are very important. All right, so this sums up our lesson 1. For our lab, we have 3 lessons. The first one is all good so far. So let's go and quickly recap what all we have learned in lesson 1. So the first thing we had a look at was, how do you save a Adobe Photoshop file in an editing and non-editing versions? So if you want to have future editing versions, so you would save it in a .psd format. And if you are saving it in a non-editing format, that means you can't edit it anymore. So therefore, you'll save it in either any of the graphic file formats, PNG or .jpeg or .gif. After that, we started to get familiar with the work area in Adobe Photoshop. You have the menu bars, which are here on top. Underneath that, you have the option bars. On the left-hand side, you have the tool panels. On the right-hand side, you have the panels. And what you see here, the document that you're working on, it's called a document window. Straight up after that, we looked at how we go around zooming and panning. So with zoom, if you want to zoom in, the shortcut key is Control and plus. If you want to zoom out, the shortcut key is Control and minus. With panning to the left, it's basically Control button and roll mouse roller to the up, and to pan to the right is Control button, hold it, and roll mouse button to the down. Okay, so that's how you pan left and pan right. Finally, in lesson 1, we had a look at how do you go around going a step backward or going a step forward. To actually go a step backward, which is also called as undo, you would press the shortcut keys Control and Z. To step forward or to redo, you'll press and hold Shift and Control and press Z. So that will allow you to actually redo something. However, if you're not so familiar, or if you're not so comfortable with using shortcut keys, you can always use things from the menu bar. So edit, step backward, or step forward. So that concludes your lesson 1, which is very simple. And I hope all of you are able to understand that. Now, before we move on to lesson 2, where things get a bit more deeper into Photoshop, any questions? If you have a question, feel free to unmute or ask, or feel free to throw in a comment or a chat message. All right, so all is well. So we'll close document window. Okay, thank you, Seema. So we'll close the document window, and after that, we'll go and open up a new image. Now, this time, let's use the shortcut key to open up a new image. The shortcut key is Control, hold it off, and press O. Control and O, just in case if that button is combination key is not working, just click somewhere on the working area and Control and O. Now, from the lab files that you downloaded, can you refer to lesson 2 and open up image sizing underscore resolution? Let me repeat that. Okay, so I had removed my document window, place a click somewhere on the work area, Control and O, and then from lesson 2, open up image sizing underscore resolution and hit the open button. So you have that image popping in. Now, at the moment, we do not know what the image size is. To actually find out what the image size is, what you can do is from your menu bar, click on the image command and then click on image size. Let me repeat that. From your menu bar, you will go and click on the image command and click on the command image size. So at the moment, our image has a width. Width is what? Top to bottom or left to right? Left to right. Okay, so your width is 1920, which is from left to right. This is your width, and your height is 1280 with a resolution of 72 dots per inch. DPI, it's dots per inch. Okay, so that is the image size. Now, I want to change the image size. I want to change it to something smaller. Let's say I am making a banner and I want my banner size to be 800 of width and 600 of height. So how would I go around doing that? It's very simple. So again, from your menu bar, you will select image and image size. Now from here, what you'll do is your width, you'll set it to 800, and your height, you'll set it to 600. Okay, now what you'll do here is, now you'll see a chain link. Now what we call this as a link, generally we call it as a link. So when you have that link activated, your image will automatically readjust the sizes even. See, I have typed in 800 previously, it has changed to 9. Why? What happens is that when you have that link activated, so this automatically adjusts the height when you change the width and vice versa. So if I do not want that to happen, automatically changing of the height and the width, I will uncheck. How do I uncheck? This is checked, this is unchecked. So I will uncheck that and again type down 800. And I will also need to ensure that resample, this should be changed in, checked in. Now, when you say resample, resample is basically when you select it, it changes the number of pixels itself. So we'll leave that on and we'll hit the OK button. So what you'll notice is that my image has gone smaller in size. So if I press Ctrl Z to undo, this is what it was, and this is what is now. Let me go back and redo it once more. So to change the size of an image, from the menu, image, command, image size. So I want to change this to 800. Now my link should be unchecked. This is checked, this is unchecked. Okay, so 800 by 600. Click onto the OK button, and that's how I end up resizing my image. I would like you to do that. I'll give you close to about 3 minutes to do that. It's pretty simple. And while you're doing it, if you have any questions and queries, feel free to ask. And once you have done resizing your image, please go ahead and save your file as a PNG format and put the name as resized. Put the name as resized. Alrighty, so how do you go and save it? So you'll go to File, Export, and I'm saving it as a .png format. Click on Save button, and then I will go to my lesson 2, and this is where I want the file to be saved. So I will name this as resized, and hit the Save button. After that, the next thing that we are going to work on is how do you go around setting up resolution. Now, resolution, when you look at the word resolution, especially of an image, it means the dots per inch of pixels that you have in an image. Now, what does that mean? Now, what that means is basically, did you notice the tiny squares when we actually had zoomed in our image? Okay, so those tiny squares, they represent the dots per inch of an image. Now, just in case, if you are printing out something, let's say if you're trying to print out this image, and if your resolution is very, very low, your image quality or the printing quality is going to be bad in that case. So what we need to do is we always need to go and readjust our resolution. Now, generally, if you want to print an image for a desktop inkjet printer, the ones that you generally have at homes, probably, okay, the simple ones, normally I think at the moment Bonwell is selling for about 179 or something like that. Okay, so if you want to set it up, the minimum resolution that you need to have is 300 dots per pixel. Okay, so to do that, we'll go on to our image menu once again, and then image size. Image menu, image size. Okay, now we'll leave the width and the height as it is, and right at the very bottom you had an option which had been checked in resample. Now when you click at resample, when you click or check in resample, it automatically sets the resolution. So we'll uncheck that. Okay, and then now you'll notice is that your figures for width and height changes. Well, it still remains the same. It's just that instead of pixels, it has changed into inches. Okay, so if I would click on resample and then pixels, so it's the same. If I would uncheck that, it changes to inches. Now you have a resolution, the DPI. This is the place where you actually go around changing the resolution. So if I were using for an inkjet printer, so in simple way, I will change that to 300 and then click on OK. Let me repeat that. You'll uncheck resample. Okay, you leave width and height as it is, And the DPI, dots per inch, you change it to 300 and click on OK. Now you won't see much changes in your image. The only way in which you can see changes with the resolution is actually when you print it out, or actually when you make it bigger or smaller or resize them. So just to reconfirm and to check if we have a resolution of 300 dpi, so you go back to image menu, image size, and dpi is 300. Previously we had it as what, 72. Now it has changed to 300, and we'll click on OK. Now once you've done that, I would like you to go and save this file. Sorry, let me give you a minute or two to do that. You try it out and then save your file as resolution in a .png format. Okay, to save, you'll go into your file menu, export as PNG. So you hit the save button. After that, you will save this as resolution.png. You don't have to type .png because the save as type is already PNG file, and then hit the save button. All right, so we have changed the image size, we have changed the resolution. Now let's go and work on cropping an image. Now you must have cropped a image in your mobile phones, in probably in Microsoft Word even. Now it's very much similar what you have in Photoshop, but we'll go and try it anyway. So let's say you want to crop this image and only extract this pink portion, the flowery portion you do not want to have in your image. So how would you go on doing it? So first of all, what I'll do is I'll zoom in so that I'm able to see it clearly. Okay, so this is a adequate zoomed in image. After that, you have your crop button or your crop tool. Your crop tool is first, second, third, fourth, fifth. The fifth button from the top, and you'll see crop tool, or the shortcut is C. Okay, so I will select crop tool. It gives me a cropped layout of the image, and I will grab hold of those placeholders. The square things that you're seeing, these are called placeholders, and I will drag it and try to ensure there's nothing but pink inside those crop placeholders. This portion of green coming in, so I'll need to ensure to take it a bit inside. Okay, so once I have that, I'll press enter. So let me repeat that. You have an image, so your crop tool is the fifth from the top, and then you will adjust your crop placeholders. The square things that you're seeing is called crop placeholders. Now if you have images, if you're trying to resize it, those are called image placeholders. For crop tool, it's called crop placeholders. So I'll adjust it a bit further, and then I'll press the enter button, and that is what I have. Now, please do try it out and save this image as crop. Now, this time save it as in a JPEG format. Now, once you're done with that, you'll go into File, Export to JPEG format .jpg, select it, click on the Save button, and your location, it picks up the same one that I had selected previously. So I'll name this as crop and hit the save button. So far, any questions, anyone? Okay, if no questions, let's continue. So next thing that I have under lesson 2 is how do you increase your canvas size? Now, this is a very important feature, just in case if you want to add elements or add things outside your image. Let's say this is the image. If I want to add few things outside it, so that means I will need to increase my canvas size. Now, if your canvas size is smaller than the image, generally whatever would be exported or saved is only going to be those things inside the canvas. So if your image is bigger, the excess portion is going to be left out. So therefore, you need to ensure that your canvas size is the same size of the entire artwork. Now, to change your canvas size, what we'll do is we'll again go into a menu bar. In the menu bar, we'll choose image command, and you have canvas size. The shortcut key is also given there, Alt plus Control plus C. Okay, so this is what you have, your canvas size. Now, if you would have a look at my canvas size at the moment is 568 by 192. So this is 568 from left to right. And then your height is 192 from top to bottom. Now, when you want to increase your canvas size, you will only enter values that you want it to increase by. For instance, if I want my width to be expanded on the right hand side by 50 pixels, so I'll type down 50 only. Okay, and image, let's say height, I'll keep it to 0. I don't want it to change. All right, now also please note that you need to always select relative. Let me re-enter it, please. So this is 50 and this is 0. Okay, and here comes the important part. If you are trying to actually go and increase the canvas size to the right by 50 pixels, your anchor point should be on the opposite end. Now, this is where it was, tiny circle. You'll have to shift it to the opposite end, to the left-hand side. Just have a look, see how it goes, and then click on OK. What happens? The image portion on the left comes in. Do you see that? Okay, let's go and do this. Let's keep it to this. Let's keep it to the original image so that you don't get confused. So image, canvas size. Okay, so relative is checked in. I want it to increase by the width to increase by 50 pixels. Okay, my anchor point, I'm placing it to the left hand side and click on OK. Do you see the canvas goes 50 pixels on the right? So the important thing here is you need to really much focus on how your anchor points actually work. Now, for instance, I want my canvas size to increase by a height of 100. Let's say I want to insert a topic or a header on that image. So that means my header would go on top. So therefore, I need to insert a height of 100 pixels on top. So in that case, your anchor would be on the bottom, opposite, and click on OK. Do you realize what's happening? Let's do it once more. Okay. So image menu, canvas size. Let's work on your width. Let's increase this by 150 pixels. And then you want your width to increase on the left hand side. So therefore your anchor is going to be on the opposite end. So you'll put it on the right at the very right, and click on OK. So that's what you have. Now do give it a try. Okay. Now what I want to do is, first of all, try increasing your width by 50 pixels. Try it out. width by 50 pixels, increase it. And increase it to the right. Width 50 pixels, increase it to the right. And after that, try increasing your height to 150 pixels at the bottom. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you are lost, if you want me to do that again, do let me know. While you're doing that, just a commentary on the side. These are some of the common things that you'll be doing every now and then. The very basics. The basics are those things that you will have to do it almost in all the projects that you'll be working on, or all the labs that you'll be working on. So it's good to learn it now. If you have questions and queries, feel free to ask. Okay, so this is the image that you have. First of all, you were asked to increase the width by 50 pixels and to the right. So menu bar, image, canvas size, relative is checked in. So I'm increasing the width by 50 pixels and the right. So if I'm increasing it to the right hand side, my anchor needs to be on the opposite side. Click on OK. So that's 50 pixels to the right. After that, your height is increased by 150 pixels and to the bottom. That means it needs to come here. So menu bar, image command, canvas size. After that, your height by 150 pixels, and it needs to increase on the bottom. So therefore, your anchor will be placed on top, and click on OK. So that is what you have. Now, at the moment, if you try to save this image, you'll only notice is that you'll get the image portion only, not the anchors. So not the canvas size. So it's no use saving it. So that concludes our lesson 2. So in lesson 2, we had a look at few things. So first of all, we went around changing the image size. So to change the image size, you'll have to refer to the menu bar, image and image size. And in that, you can adjust the width and the height, and you can try out sampling and resampling to change the resolution, which brought us to the second topic in changing the resolution. Now we have changed the resolution to 300 dpi. Why 300 dpi? Because that's what is most optimum for a desktop inkjet printer. After that, we tried to crop the image. So to crop the image, you have to use your crop tool, the 5th button from the top in the tools menu. Okay, so when you click on it, you have to readjust your crop anchors and press enter once you're done. After that, we went around increasing the canvas size. Now, increasing the canvas size is a bit tricky, especially in terms of the anchor point. So to increase or expand the canvas size, you can go into the menu bar, image command, and then canvas size. In there, you need to ensure that your relative is checked in. So let's say if you are increasing the height by 50 pixels, so insert 50 pixels. Now you will only insert the measurement to what you want to increase it by. If the image is already 800 pixels and you want it to go to 850, you'll only type in 50, the extra portion. And if you want to increase it to the right, let's say, sorry, this is height. Height will be at the top or bottom. If you want to increase it to the bottom, you'll have to place your anchor on top. That means your anchor works in the opposite direction, and then you click onto the OK button. So that concludes our lesson 2. Is there any questions or any queries before we move on to the next lesson? If no, so we'll continue. So we'll close the document window. You're gonna click on OK, that you don't want to save it. And after that, you'll place a click in your working area, Control and O, and can you please go into your lesson 3 folder and open up the file called layer image. So that's an interesting piece of artwork. So you have a Fiji's map laid out or embedded to a thumbprint or fingerprint. I'm not sure whether it's a thumb or it can be a finger even. Now, what we're looking at, or what we will be looking at, is we'll be looking at the basics of layers. Now, layers play a very key role in Photoshop because layers can contain images, they can contain text, they can contain objects. The important thing about layer is that it allows you to move, edit, and work with the content of the layer without affecting the content of another layer. Let me repeat that. The important thing about a layer is it allows you to move things, it allows you to edit things, it allows you to work with the content of one layer without affecting the content of the other layer. Now, how is that possible, or how does that work? For instance, if you are working with a banner, so in a banner you have image, you have a lot of text. So an image can go in one layer and all the different set of text can go in other layer. So let's say layer 1 is your image. So if you have selected layer 1, so you will only work with the image and it will not affect the text. We'll get down to it and I'll show you how it actually works. Now, before we do that, do note this: if you are looking at layer, so layers are generally found in your panel bar, which is here on the right hand side, and you have a layers subsection, layers, and this is your layer. See, your image is here in the document window, and your layer is here for that particular image. Says background at the moment. Now, what you can do is this: you can always go around creating new layers. So let's go and do it. So from your panels menu, layers submenu, you can go and create a layer by clicking on a new layer button. Button is here, new layer. So from the right hand side, that's the second button. Click on new layer and a new layer comes up. With me, everyone? Now in this layer, I want you to go and select that layer. Now, how do you select? This is background layer selected. This is layer 1 selected. Background, layer 1. Layer 1, background. Now go back to layer 1. I want you to go and insert an image. Now I'll give an option. Probably go into lesson 2 and pick up the canvas image. Now, once you've done that, you'll notice that you have a layer image with layers, and then you have a canvas. So what I'm asking you to do is, can you go and select layer 1 and go back to your canvas.psd. So once you are there, grab and hold that image using your mouse cursor and drag it into layer image and then place it somewhere over here on the top. Let me do that once again. Okay. So what I'm doing is this: I'm selecting layer 1 and then going to canvas.psd, and I grab and hold that image and I'm dragging it. See my mouse cursor? I'm dragging it to the other document window and putting it in. Now, what happens is automatically it pulls out a new layer. So I will go and select layer 1 and hit the delete button to remove it. So you have two background at the moment, one with the Fiji flag and the other with the flowers. The one with the flowers, okay, you will do a double click on it. And after that, you will rename it to flowers. Do that, everyone. Double click onto that layer. It'll allow you to rename it and rename it to flowers. Okay, let's move on. So when you click on background layer, that means you can go and edit things with the Fiji flag. And if you go and select flowers, you can edit things into that flowery image. Now moving on, what I want you to show next is we have a button, like for example, if you notice is that flowers is at the moment hindering your Fiji flag, okay? So if I want to, for temporarily, if I do not want to have that particular layer shown, you have an eye icon. So what you'll do is you'll place a click on it and you're able to hide it. Now that particular button icon is called a show or a hide button. Try it out. Try for background as well. So once you've experienced with show and hide button, you should also know that a layer must be selected in order to make changes. So if I want to make a change to this flower image, for example, I will take my brush tool. This is the brush tool, the 7th button from top. And at the moment, color red is selected. If I would do something like this, it is in no particular way affecting the Fiji flag. But you're thinking, hey, he's messing up the Fiji flag. So now if I show and hide, is it messing up the Fiji flag? No, it isn't. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me repeat that once again. So you have the flowers image, okay, and I've chosen the brush tool, and this time I'm choosing a different color, let's say color blue. How do I change the color? So where it's color red, this is the foreground color. Click on it, choose any color from the color palette, and I am just messing up the flower image. And if you're thinking that I am also messing up the flag image, in fact, I'm not. Why? Because I've just selected the flowers layer. So if I show and hide this, it is not distorting or messing up the flag image. Try it out. All good? Now, let's say you have a lot of layers. Now, it is possible that sometimes when you're working on a graphic project, you may have about 20, 30, 40, even 50 layers, okay? We had projects before whereby students were asked to insert multiple layers. So some students went around creating 50 or 60 layers. Somebody has posted a question. Isal, so you've asked me, sir, can you tell again, how do you select the layer 1 pick? It's very simple, just place a click on the layer. So if I'm selecting if I want to select the flowers layer, we'll just place a click onto the layer. Now, placing a click on the image doesn't do the job. You have to ensure that you are on the panel tool, layers sub tool, and then select the flowers layer. All good, Izal? Okay, so where was I? All right. So sometimes there are a lot of layers that you will be asked to work on. Now, if you have a lot of layers, there's a likely chance that sometimes you may blunder up the entire project. Okay. Now, to avoid situations like that, what you can do is, let's say the background layer, this particular image. Now you've done your artwork, and it seems to you that this does not wish to change anymore, and I need to protect this because just to edit the image, it took me about 3 or 4 hours. Now, if you want to really protect it and you do not want any form of harm to come to this particular image, what you can do is you can always go and lock your layer. So if you would see that padlock, so you'll select background and click on the padlock. So once you see that padlock, you're able to lock layer. So now when I try to, I'm using the brush tool, still on brush tool here, try to do something with it, it says this layer is locked. Let's try it again. This layer is locked. If I go to the flowers layer, show it, it still is able to brush it out. Background says layer is locked. Are you able to see that? So that is how you go around locking layers so that you do not end up doing anything wrong with it. All good, everyone? Any questions so far? So this concludes lesson 3. So in lesson 3, we had a look at layers. Now layers, they contain images, texts, and objects. Now why it is important? Because it allows you to move, edit, and work with content of one layer without affecting the content of the other layer. Now you must be agreeing to this at the moment. We have also learned how you go around viewing the layer. So layers is normally found in your panels toolbar, and insert in a new layer, you have this new layer button whereby you can click and insert a new layer. You've also learned how to show and hide new layer. Apart from that, you have come through an example in terms of you always must select a layer in order to make changes. And finally, we had gone around looking at locking and unlocking layers. Now, how do you unlock? Double click. Okay, in Photopea is just single click. With a single click, you can unlock it, which is great. Also, another thing we did was, okay, we had pulled out an image and dropped it into a layer. So our image was in Canvas. That was a different document window. So from one document window, we had pulled it out and placed it into another document window. So that concludes our lesson 1, lesson 2, and lesson 3. We've already used up 1.5 hours. We've used up more time than I anticipated. That's fine. You're learning. I want the basics to go in very well. So next up, I'll ask you to close this, all of those window documents, or document window rather. And then can you go and open up Control and O? There's a click somewhere first, and Control and O. And you go and refer to exercise 1 and select both of these images. So how do you select both images? Either you can click and drag to select both, or you can press Control A. Control A is a shortcut for select all, and click on open. So you have 2 images. You have FNU's logo, which is hardly visible at the moment. We'll still work on that. And then you have a banner image.psd. With me, everyone? What we'll do is with these images, we'll try to create a simple banner, not too fancy, something simple. Once you have both of those images inserted in, now we'll do what we did it previously. Okay, now I want you to drag this document window right at the very beginning. So you have banner image and then window document and then FNU logo. How to do it? Just click and drag. Click and drag and place it. The blue snapping which you see, so that is a place, or that is an indicator where you can place it in. All done? Okay. Next up, you have FNU's logo. Now, this is your move tool. Your move tool is the very first one in your toolbar. So whenever you are trying to move something, or whenever you're trying to select something, so move tool is your ultimate tool. So you'll select the move tool, you grab and hold of that FNU logo's image, and then you'll place it inside image.psd. Anyone wants me to repeat that? See, these are all basics. We're just practicing the things that we have done so far. So these are the basics. You need to learn this efficiently so that you can continue the other phases in the other labs very, very easily. All right. So once you've done that, I'll ask you to delete FNU logo.psd or close it, the document window. Once you've done that, the logo image is in the top layer. So at the moment, the layer names are same. So to make it different from one another, so can you double click on that layer name, change the layer name to logo, so you directly know what that layer contains. The other one will let it stick to background. All good so far? Okay, now this logo, now generally when you are doing artwork, you want to figure out where the image looks on what part of the image. Okay, for example, the logo, generally logo looks good when it's somewhere on top. Okay, it can also look good somewhere at the bottom. It can also look good somewhere at the middle. But at the moment, I don't find it looking so good somewhere in the middle, and I want to place it somewhere on top. Now, it does look good. The thing is, the image, you'll notice is that it's too bright, and at the moment, it is just hindering the logo's color. We'll leave it there. We'll keep it simple at the moment, because if you want to edit the colors, that's going to take us some more time. So we'll leave it there at the moment. We'll stick to the simple ones. Okay, so leave there, and after that, I want you to come up with a new layer. So to create a new layer, your panels toolbar, layers sub tools bar, and then click on new layer, and that layer needs to go right on top, and you will name this as text. Now you have 3 layers: background, logo, and text. I hope you are all with me at the moment. Now, your logo layer, we don't want to change anything in there anymore, so we'll lock the layer. The show and hide feature would still work even though it's locked there, but you cannot edit it anymore. Now, select your text layer, and with the text layer, we want to insert text, and we will write down Department of Computer Science and Information Systems. So to insert text, you need to use your type tool. Your type tool is in the tools bar, and it is the icon with T in it. if you would have a look at the screen, at the moment I am placing my cursor on top of the type tool. So I will place a click on it. Do that, everyone. Now, once you've done that, next thing this will do is wherever you want to insert in your text, you will go and place a click there within that image. So I will place a click somewhere here, and then I'll start typing. See, at the moment it is typing, but it's too small in size. So what I'll do is I'll press Ctrl A to select it, and I will increase the size. I can manually type it here in the options menu, 40. So you're able to see it now. Okay, so Department of Computer Science and Information Systems. So again, if it's too small for you, you can press Ctrl A, select the entire thing, and then change the size. Now let's try 60 and see how does it look. So if you want to edit something, you can double click and you can place your cursor somewhere in the middle or wherever you want to, and you can go around editing it. For example, if I want to change something here, let's say in between, so this is my cursor, I'll click here and then I can edit it. Now, while you're doing that, also do notice at your layer. So when you insert a new text, automatically you'll see it has created a new layer. And the name of the layer is whatever you have typed in. So this is the thing when you're using your type tool. With a type tool, generally you do not need to go around creating a new layer because it creates it itself. Therefore, this is the layer that has been typed out. So the text layer will go and remove that. How do you remove? Select the layer, press delete to remove. All good, everyone? Any questions, any queries so far? Any questions, any queries? If no questions, no queries. So this is what we do next. We'll select the Department of Computer Science, the layer which says department. We'll edit that to text, simple name, so that it will become easy for me to call it out and easy for you to identify. So we'll rename it to text. So you'll notice that your text layer has text which is black in color, and at the moment is throwing your image off guard. So you'll select text layer, and then you'll go and double click, actually select, I think it's triple click. So text layer 1, 2, 3. Okay, and you have to press and you have to click quickly. So 1, 2, 3, you'll be able to select the entire thing, or just select or click there once and Control A, shortcut key to select all. That is, select all the text that you have, Control A, or click 3 times very, very quickly. Once you've done that, in your options bar, so first of all, in the option, you have the type of font that you want. And then you have regular. Now for this particular font type, it gives you a regular option. Generally, you'll have bold, italic, strong, and so forth. And then you have size. The next one is the color section. Now I want to change that to color white. So in my color palette, this is called a color palette. The white color is somewhere at the very corner, more like a grayish white. Okay, so I'll select that and click on OK. And move tool, and this is where I can place it in. Let me do that once more. Okay, so I am selecting the text, Control A. After that, color palette, choosing the color from the very top left corner, so that gives me a white color. Okay, and then once I've done that, click on OK, and click on your move tool because you want to move this, and I am placing this somewhere at the bottom. Do try that out, please. I'll give you about 2 minutes. Okay, so once you've done that, now remember in Microsoft Word, when you actually insert in a word art, it gives you placeholders whereby you can adjust the size without even giving in or typing in the font size. Now we have a similar feature here in Photoshop, and it is called free transform. Now you'll be able to find this under the edit menu. Okay, here, free transform. First of all, what you need to do is you need to select a layer and then free transform. I prefer using the shortcut key. It's Alt plus Control plus T. Okay, or you can just use this command if it's too difficult for you. So free transform, so it gives you that placeholders. And now you can actually go around adjusting the size of your text. So let me repeat that. Select your layer, edit menu, free transform, and then you can adjust the placeholders. All good so far? Now, I'd like you to go and save this. So we will save this in two formats. One is .psd and the other is .png. So to save it in .psd, now why PSD? Because we'll be working some more things on this particular file come next week. Okay, so file and then save as PSD. So in there, okay, I'll hit the save option and click on OK. And this is week 1, exercise 1. And this is your, we'll label it as exercise 1. And .psd file format is there already. So we'll hit the save button. After that, you'll go and hit the file button and then export this as a PNG format and hit the save button. Exercise 1. This is also we also name this exercise 1 underscore PNG and hit the save button. So if I would go back to the particular folder, so there I go. So this was the banner and the logo images. You have exercise 1.psd. See how the PSD file is different from the image, and PNG and PSD files. And this is what we have come up with in today's class. So we looked at three basic things, and we have applied those basic things in our exercise. In fact, if you look at your Moodle shell, there's one more exercise that I wanted to work on. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. Because if you remember yesterday, I did mention that I want to take the class only for 1.5 hours just because of the video sites. So we will stop here, and come next week we'll continue with this and exercise 2 before we proceed with the next set of lab. Is that fine with everyone? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. If that's fine with so if you're fine with that, so this is where we'll conclude the class for today. Now, just before we conclude, and I would end the Zoom session. Now, I want to get your feedback. Are you facing problems doing simultaneously with me while I'm doing the labs? Or do you want me to opt for some other options which I can do and think of? So let me hear some feedback from some of you. Am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? You're not able to understand me, or the video is lagging, or it's like it's coming to you in a delayed manner? Any feedback from anyone? If no feedback, then I'll assume all is well and you're okay to cope up with this. No feedback, so all is good. Okay, so if all is good, then it's good for me. All right. Now, next week, what we'll do is when you come in, first thing what we'll do is we'll try to make this more visible. The logo, we'll try to make it stand out. And also we'll do some editing with the image portion. Okay. So that's where next week will be based. Next week, we'll start with adjusting quality and we'll try to edit some images here and there. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining in. Okay. And definitely, please do feel free to throw me feedback. Send me emails if you're facing any question, if you are facing any problems, if you have any questions, if you have queries, do let me know. Till then, take care, stay safe, and I hope all of you are planning or you have already been vaccinated. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining in. See you all next week, Thursday. Naka.
Thank you, sir.